Well, today is August the 29th. We're nearing the end of Black August. It's going to get hot down here in Memphis. Right now, I'm down here at the car dealership. I had to put my truck in the shop. They're checking on something, but let's just get into the program. I'm going to walk inside and get to a couple notes that I've written down for you. Give me 1 second. Okay. It's kind of sunny behind me, but hopefully you guys can see me and can hear me. Okay, so yesterday I asked a friend of mine. I said, "Hey man, I put up a couple videos. Tell me what you think. Give me some criticism, whether positive criticism or negative criticism. All criticism is good." And what he said was that, "Hey, I like the video, but once you start talking politics, that's where you're gonna lose people at." And I had to think about that, right? Because he's a avid supporter of the Democratic Party. He's a real good friend of mine, but we definitely share different political views. So when he said that, I had to think, you're gonna lose people once you start talking politics. I'm like, okay, well, the line of demarcation is what we're shooting for. I mean, when people share different political, social, and economic beliefs from you, then that's a line of demarcation. But it's the typical mindset of Black America. If you disagree with their political views, then they don't want to talk about it. They want to just completely shut down and just act like it does not exist, right? So I was doing a little research, and I came across an article that talked about Megan Thee Stallion. She performed at the recent Democratic convention. I could not believe that they actually brought a whore onto the stage to represent Black America. But a couple years ago, she was given an open letter of support by Maxine Waters. And I'm just gonna read to you some of the contents of the letter. Not much, but bear in mind that Maxine Waters is a Democratic. Her exact title is, 1 second here, let me get my notes in order. She's a California Democrat, and she represents the 43rd District. And she signed an open letter of support for Megan Thee Stallion, stating, "We see that in your career and your tremendous success, despite the obstacles that have come your way, the bottom line," Waters wrote, "is that she is incredibly proud of Megan's success and how she's used her voice to uplift fellow Black women. I know that Black women and girls everywhere thank you for the way you so fiercely have their back." This is someone in Congress that's openly advocating whorism inside of the Black community. And again, Megan Thee Stallion, she performed at the 2024 Democratic Convention. Democrats. This open letter was signed also by Barbara Lee and a host of other Black women who support the Democratic Party, right? A couple of days ago, J.D. Vance, a Republican, he was asked a question. And the question is, how do you resolve the conflict between Israel and Hamas? His response: "It is not our business to micromanage Israel's war in the Middle East. Hamas is an evil organization. What we should be doing as an ally of Israel is empowering them to wipe Hamas off the face of the earth and get this war over with. The solution is to give Israel precision-guided weapons that minimize civilian casualties and let them destroy Hamas and get this war over with. J.D. Vance goes on to say that Donald Trump is going to bring peace and stability and some common sense back to U.S. foreign policy. Now, I'll give you two perspectives there. One, coming from the Democratic Party, whether they're white or black, and I'll give you another perspective coming from a vice presidential candidate that's running for office in the current election. Now, let's go back to Maxine Waters, first of all, and her political views, which, in my opinion, are a cancerous poison that has eaten away at the fabric of black political thought and organization in this country. Of all the people she could have praised, of all the people she could have given homage to, she gave homage to Megan Thee Stallion for her courage and bravery and speaking for black women across the country. No, you're not. You're not speaking for black women across the country. You're speaking for a whore culture that's permeated the black community, that's attacking the very fabric of unity within the black family structure. That's who Megan Thee Stallion represents. But she's put out there as a voice of the Democratic Party. And Megan's response was that, well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because Maxine Waters said so. Okay. Really? Are these the type of people that we need representing us? Are these the type of people that we want to have voted into power and stay in power? And remember, Maxine Waters is a career politician. She's a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. Okay? Now let's move on to J.D. Vance. Currently, he's Donald Trump's vice president. Let's go back to what he said. Donald Trump is going to bring peace and stability and some common sense back to U.S. foreign policy. What is U.S. foreign policy? They want to maintain dominance over the world. They want to maintain their unipolar social order. This is why they always talk about the international rules-based order, where they and them alone decide what is best for the entire world, where they and them alone are allowed to go around the entire world, terrorize, bring destruction to people, exploit their resources, and overthrow their governments through what's termed color revolutions. Is this what we want to have represented us? Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because, again, when I asked one of my friends, I said, man, give me some feedback, on the video. How can I make it better? The first video was, I was a little nervous. It's my first time, making a video that's going to be broadcast around the world. But he said that once you start talking politics, that's when you're going to lose people, and they're going to disagree with your stance. That's cool, because I stand with 10K. We need 10,000 black soldiers, men, who come together with a common cause, rebuild our society. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you support those neocon views, those liberal Western views, then we don't want you, period. The the society that we build, the society that we envision, where, we empower ourselves through economic development, social transformation. We want those people. So we don't need people with diseased minds from the old social order coming into our ranks, permeating our ranks with poisonous neo-colonial views. We don't want those people. He represents, I'm talking about my friend, he represents the black petite bourgeoisie. When I get in another setting, we're going to go in depth about the black petite bourgeoisie. But essentially, somebody in the background, I hope you don't mind being on camera, but he doesn't know I'm making this recording. But essentially, the black petite bourgeoisie, they're not the bourgeoisie. They are the lower and middle echelons of the black middle class. They might have small businesses, not big businesses. They might be the CEOs of certain Fortune 500 companies, things of that nature, but they hold no political or economic power. They do not control manufacturing. They don't control distribution. They don't control, the extraction and logistical transportation of wealth. So they are a class of, paupers, beggars. Maxine Waters represents that class. Kamala Harris represents that class. The black middle class in America has had ample opportunity. They betrayed their historical obligation to black America. They've had ample opportunity. They have the education, they have the contacts, they have the resources. They could have, in the wake of the 1960s and the collapse of the Black Liberation Movement, the collapse of the Civil Rights Movement, they had an obligation to continue forward. They had an obligation, a historical obligation, to reorganize in the face of the assault that the United States government conducted against the BLM. And when I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter, I'm talking about the Black Liberation Movement, the Civil Rights Movement, and every other movement that we participate in this country in order to bring redress to our grievances and try to establish some form of equilibrium within the society. They had the historical obligation to move to the forefront and represent the interests of the black population. They did not do that. What they did is that they sold out. They sold out. And what I mean by selling out is that they just continued the same policies that neo-colonial societies propagate over the entire world. So they lost. They squandered. They've squandered generations of black lives. They've squandered generations of black wealth. They have all of the elements that's needed in order to rebuild. But what do? They sit back like armchair revolutionaries while poor blacks from the underclass sacrifice their lives in the streets of America. At 10K, my point of view is that we need to completely reject everything about their poisonous ideas. And when I say they, I'm talking about black America. We should stop celebrating their holidays. We should not listen to their music. We should not participate in any cultural undertaking that they undertake because it's not in our best interest. They represent the interests of the ruling class. And the interest of the ruling class is what? To keep black Americans, black men in particular, marginalized in this society. We have to get away from that. We don't want to be marginalized anymore. We don't want to be grounded to the earth like dust and forgotten about, spit on, disrespected by the scum of the land. We don't want that. So it's necessary for us now to, like I said in my first video, to completely and utterly rebuild from the ground up. and it's going to take a lot of work. But we have we have the potential and we have the power to do that. But we have to separate ourselves from the disease class. And the disease class is the subculture of America, Black America. See, we talk about culture. There is no black culture in this country. There is no black community. The black family was destroyed a long time ago. It was destroyed a long time ago. So right now we like a blank sheet of paper. And what do you do on a blank sheet of paper? Like Mao Zedong said, you can draw some of the most beautiful arts on a blank sheet of paper. So we have to separate ourselves from this diseased breed of black coons, black puppets that's running around and helping the system keep us marginalized. How do we do that? We do that by first recognizing that there's a clear line of demarcation between us and them. A clear line of demarcation. We don't want to be confrontational. This isn't, we're going to go and wage some violent revolution. No, there's none of that. That's not what we're here for. But we are here for the purpose of drawing a line of demarcation. We don't want to share their values anymore. We don't want to share their ideas anymore because they're antithetical to world peace. I mean, J.D. Vance clearly states right here, I'm looking at my notes again, that Donald Trump is going to bring peace and stability and some common sense back to U.S. foreign policy. U.S. foreign policy is what's gotten us into the situation that we're in right now with the outbreak of World War III over in Europe. U.S. foreign policy has gotten us into the mess that we're in the Middle East. When J.D. Vance states that he wants to provide Israel with precision-guided munitions in order to avoid civilian casualties. I mean, first of all, Israel, which is only an extension of America, I mean, look at its history. Israel has always been a terrorist state. They supported apartheid in South Africa. They funneled them arms, they gave them training, they had them target leaders of the political movements over there. So Israel, again, is just an extension of U.S. foreign policy. The quote-unquote rules-based social order. They have completely razed to the ground Gaza. Now they just launched an operation, one of the largest operations in years, over in the West Bank. So their policy is scorched earth policy. I mean, provide them with precision-guided weapons. There's nothing else to target in Gaza. Gaza has been completely destroyed. An entire population of people have been moved off of their land, herded down south toward the Egyptian border. They've always lived in concentration camps over there. Now, if the so-called black middle class, recognizing what has been going on in the Middle East for decades, they should have been a bastion of resistance against that. But what do? They sit back, armchair revolutionaries, they get their little Mercedes Benzes and their little houses over in the suburbs, and they say nothing. They say nothing. They say absolutely nothing. So we don't want to be a part of those people. We don't want to dress like them. We don't want to talk like them. We want to have nothing to do with those kind of people. And I'm talking about Black America. And when I say Black America, if we are to move forward in this world, if we are to truly become who we were designed to be, then we must again reject those ideas, principles, mores, and concepts that keep us marginalized. We have to develop a national and an international philosophy that's pro-humanity, pro-peace, equitable development for all parties involved, and we have to stand on that. We cannot go backwards ever again. We can never be misled again. We should not allow ourselves to be misled ever again. So we have to critically think over the next couple of years about the course of direction in which we want to go. You want to support the Democrats? You want to support the Republicans? Then you have to support everything that comes with that. When the war comes to the shores of America, which it will, sign up for the military and go to the front line. Because remember, you supported overwhelmingly the policies of oppression. So don't cry. Don't run when it's time for you to fight. And when I'm talking directly to Black Americans who overwhelmingly support this government because they have nowhere else to go. They have allowed themselves to be manipulated by the Black middle class, the neo-colonialists. So you support this government that much, then you should be willing to fight and die for this government, because you truly have nowhere to go. The African American has nowhere to go. The world does not want the African American. You can't go to Africa. You can't go to the Middle East. You can't go to Asia. Because if you do, in large numbers, you bring your poisonous ideas to those people. They don't want those. They don't want their culture destroyed. Not by you. I mean, the Democratic Convention actually allowed a whore to come on the stage and represent Black America. You're trying to woo Black Americans to support for the Democratic Party. And in contrast to that, you have the puppets that have come out, the Black puppets, the floor mats that have come out on the side of the Republicans. You know, they're disenfranchised with the Democratic Party now. So instead of them sitting back forming their own political party and being led by their own philosophies and ideas, they run to, I guess in their eyes, the lesser of the two evils. So they bring their puppets out, you know, they bring their puppets out. Black men, stop listening to entertainers, comedians, sports athletes. Do not allow them to shape and mold your thoughts. As I've already stated, there's nothing wrong with sitting this election out. There's nothing wrong. You're sitting out for a reason, because you do not agree with the national or foreign policies of either party. They are one and the same. They are a uniparty. They support the same agenda. The Democrats support the destruction of the Palestinians. The Republicans support the destruction of the Palestinians. The Democrats support the overthrow of the Russian Federation, which is never going to happen. The Republicans support the overthrow of the Russian Federation. The Democrats support color revolutions in Central South America, Africa. The Republicans support the same agenda. So why would you want to align yourself with these type of people? Why would you want to support their ideas? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So again, my good friend told me that, you know, once you start talking politics, that you're going to lose people. Good. Because we don't want those people on our team. The line of demarcation has been drawn. Everyone is choosing a side now. You have to choose a side. You can't sit this out. You can't sit it out. You have the emergence of a multipolar philosophy that's sweeping the world. We see de-dollarization of the dollar. I mean, the United States was in a position to, you know, they were in a position to do something good for the world, but they chose to do the opposite. They chose to use aggression, slavery, colonialism. They chose to use the CIA and the FBI to target people, overthrow their governments, to target their political opposition inside of America. They chose to do that. So now the chicken is coming home to roost. So what are we going to do? Are we going to continue to be manipulated and misled by these people? You know, the Maxine Waters, the Barbara Lees, the Clarence Thomases of the world, the Cornel Wests, the Anton Daniels. We can go on and on and on and on and on. But why should we? So we have to clarify our own destiny. And we're going to get more into it, you know, as I make more of these videos, we're going to get more into it. But again, I just wanted to bring up the point, you know, this video was inspired by one of my friends that said, well, you shouldn't talk politics. You shouldn't talk politics. He says that without understanding that politics and economics rule the world. Which side do you fall on? You have to ask yourself, which side do you fall on? Who are you going to support? And if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. We're going to get more in depth, but you know, I'm going to need a team because this is a monumental task. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I got a lot of points of views. A lot.